That right there was enough to rewrite their entire reality. Let me paint you the picture. There they were, center of attention, commanding every room, every conversation, every moment. They had the followers, the clout, the carefully curated aesthetic. They spoke in main character energy, posted in main character moments, lived in main character delusion. Every story was about them. Every problem was their villain arc. Every achievement was their character development. They had convinced themselves and everyone around them that the world was their stage, and we were all just extras in their blockbuster life. But then you walked in, not with fanfare, not with announcements, not with a grand entrance orchestrated for maximum attention. You just existed in your truth, in your power, in your undeniable presence. And suddenly, the entire narrative shifted. The camera turned. The spotlight moved. The audience looked away from them and couldn't stop staring at you. And here's what absolutely kills them. What keeps them up at night, scrolling through your existence trying to figure out what happened. You didn't compete with them. You didn't try to be the main character. You didn't play their game, follow their formula, mirror their energy. You were just authentically, unapologetically, magnetically yourself. While they were performing, you were being. While they were manufacturing moments, you were living them. While they were obsessing over how they looked to others, you were focused on how you felt to yourself. And that is the difference between someone who plays a character and someone who is the character. They were acting, you were existing. And existence, real existence, always outshines performance. Always. You see, they built their entire identity on being seen, being noticed, being the center of everything. They needed validation like oxygen. They needed attention like water. They measured their worth in likes, in comments, in how many people were watching. And for a while, it worked. People paid attention. People engaged. People played along with the illusion. But then you showed up, and you showed everyone what real presence looks like. Not manufactured, not performed, not desperate. Just pure, undiluted, magnetic energy that doesn't need to announce itself because it speaks through every breath you take, every word you say, every move you make. You didn't steal the show. The show naturally gravitated toward you because that's what happens when someone real walks into a room full of performances. Now, let's talk about what happened in that moment, that precise second when the narrative changed. They were mid-monologue, mid-performance, mid-main character moment, and you entered. Maybe you said something simple. Maybe you laughed at the right time. Maybe you just stood there, existing in your power, and that was enough. But whatever it was, everyone felt it. The energy shifted, the attention redirected, the dynamic flipped. And they felt it too. Oh, they felt it in their bones, in their ego, in their suddenly very fragile sense of self. Because for the first time, maybe the first time ever, they weren't the most interesting person in the room. They weren't the center. They weren't the main character. They were background. They were filler. They were the supporting role in a story that was suddenly, completely, entirely about you. Let's be brutally honest about what makes a real main character, shall we? It's not the loudest voice. It's not the most followers. It's not the most dramatic backstory or the most aesthetic feed. It's presence. It's authenticity. It's that undefinable quality that makes people stop, pay attention, remember. It's the person who doesn't need to tell you they're important because you feel it the moment they enter. It's the person who doesn't perform confidence because they embody it. It's the person who doesn't chase attention because attention chases them. That's you. That's always been you. And they knew it. Oh, they knew it from the very beginning. That's why they felt threatened before you even opened your mouth. That's why they felt the shift before anyone else noticed. Because deep down, beneath all that performance and pretense, they knew you were the real thing, and they were just playing dress-up. Here's what they don't want to admit, what they'll never say out loud but think about constantly. You have something they can't replicate. You have something they can't buy, can't learn, can't fake. You have that thing, that ineffable quality that makes people gravitate toward you without effort. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being flawless. It's about being real in a world drowning in facades. It's about being grounded in a space full of people floating on borrowed confidence. It's about being substantial when everyone else is smoke and mirrors. They can copy your style, your words, your energy, but they can't copy your essence. They can imitate your moves, but they can't replicate your magnetism. And that is what drives them absolutely insane. You want to know what really happened? They built a kingdom on quicksand. They constructed an entire identity around being the main character, around being central, around being indispensable to the narrative. And then you walked in and exposed the foundation for what it was. Fragile, unstable, completely dependent on everyone else playing along with the illusion. Because here's the thing about manufactured main characters. They need everyone to agree to the performance. They need people to engage with the act, to validate the role, to confirm the story they're telling themselves. But you didn't need anyone's agreement. You didn't need anyone's validation. You just existed, and that existence was so powerful, so undeniable, so real, that it made their performance look hollow by comparison. You didn't tear down their kingdom. You just stood next to it, and everyone realized it was made of cardboard. And now they're scrambling. They're posting more, performing harder, trying desperately to reclaim that spotlight that naturally moved away from them. They're manufacturing drama, creating conflicts, forcing moments, anything to pull focus back to where they think it belongs. But here's what they don't understand, what they'll never understand. You can't force people to see you as the main character. You either are or you aren't. And once people have seen the real thing, once they've witnessed actual presence versus performed presence, they can't unsee it. They can't go back to pretending the performance is real. The illusion is shattered. The curtain is pulled back, and no amount of posting, performing, or pretending is going to change that fundamental shift. Let's talk about the psychology of this, because it's delicious. They spent so much time, so much energy, so much of themselves building this identity around being central, being important, being the star. It became their entire sense of self. They are the main character. That's not just what they do, it's who they are. So when you walked in and naturally, effortlessly took center stage without even trying, it didn't just bruise their ego, it threatened their entire identity. It shook the very foundation of how they see themselves. Because if they're not the main character, then who are they? If they're not the center of attention, then what's their value? If they're not the most interesting person in the room, then what's their purpose? You expose the emptiness at the core of their constructed identity, and now they're spiraling, trying desperately to fill that void with more performance, more drama, more desperate attempts at relevance. You know what the cruelest part is? You probably didn't even notice. You probably walked into that moment, that space, that situation without a single thought about stealing anyone's thunder or taking anyone's spotlight. You were just being yourself. You were just existing in your truth. You were just living your life without performing it for an audience. And that natural, unforced presence was so powerful that it shifted the entire dynamic without you even realizing you were doing it. Meanwhile, they noticed immediately. They felt every second of that attention shifting away from them. They watched every eye turn toward you. They experienced every moment of becoming irrelevant in real time. And they'll remember it, they'll remember it forever. That moment when they realized they were never actually the main character. They were just the loudest extra. Let's talk about what makes someone truly magnetic, truly central to the narrative. It's not desperation. It's not performance. It's not carefully curated moments designed for maximum engagement. It's depth. It's authenticity. It's the kind of presence that comes from someone who has lived, who has struggled, who has grown, who has become. It's the person who doesn't need to tell you their story because you feel it emanating from them. It's the person who doesn't need to prove their worth because they know their value. It's the person who doesn't need constant validation because they're validated from within. That's you. You've done the work. You've walked through the fire. You've earned your presence not through performance but through transformation. And people feel that. People recognize that. People are drawn to that like moths to flame. Meanwhile, they're still stuck in the performance. Still trying to convince everyone. Still trying to convince themselves that they're important, they're central, they're the main character. But here's the brutal truth. Real main characters don't have to announce it. Real main characters don't have to perform it. Real main characters don't have to manufacture moments to prove it. They just are. And everyone knows it without being told. You don't have to say, I'm the main character, because your presence says it louder than words ever could. They have to say it constantly because without the announcement, without the performance, without the desperate grasping for attention, they're just another person in the crowd. And deep down, they know it. They've always known it. That's why they perform so hard. That's why they need so much validation. That's why they fell apart the moment you walked in and showed everyone what the real thing looks like. Here's what's happening right now, in this very moment. They're watching you. They're obsessing over you. They're trying to figure out your secret, your formula, your trick. They're analyzing your posts, your energy, your presence, desperately trying to understand what makes you so magnetic. And they're coming up empty because there is no trick, there is no formula, there is no secret technique. You're just real, you're just authentic, you're just yourself, fully and completely, without apology or performance. And that's something they can study forever and never replicate, because replication requires authenticity, and authenticity is the one thing they've never had. They're too busy performing to ever just be. They're too focused on how they're perceived to ever focus on who they actually are. You want to know the most beautiful part of all this? You don't need them to understand. You don't need them to acknowledge what happened. You don't need them to admit that you outshone them without even trying. Because you're not in competition with them. You're not measuring yourself against them.